Hey, Keith here from Courtnay The Unholy Reverie, and this is my rig rundown. Most of the time at the moment I'm using the Darkglass Microtubes 900 version 2. I like to use it in the blue mode when I'm running it. And I don't usually use any of the EQ type stuff on the amplifier. I just keep it straight because I get all the EQ done through all my pedals and my bass itself. It has two amazing distortions built into the unit, but I don't use those. I use a couple of the pedals, which we'll cover later. It's got speaker cabinet emulation on the back of it on your DI out to the desk if you want, but I leave that straight as well because I do all the cab stuff in my anagram, which is another Darkglass pedal. Also, my other favorite is this Mark-based little tube 800, and it's got a tube preamp in it, which makes it sound incredible, much nicer in my opinion, than the Darkglass, as my cat seems to say. But when I'm using the Darkglass, I've got a tube preamp that I use instead, so that makes it sound much more like the Mark-based tube sound. As far as cabinets go, I've got two 4x10s with horns. In a perfect world, I'd have two of these front ported ones, but unfortunately, being in the little country at the bottom of the world, we couldn't get two at the same time. So if I'm playing a gig, I'll either use the front ported one, or I'll use both of these as an 8x10. And sometimes if I'm playing a smaller gig, I'll use my 2x10, or if it's a corporate gig or a wedding gig, if I'm doing that sort of stuff. This is the bass that I use all the time on stage when I'm playing with Courtnay The Unholy Reverie. This is a Warwick thumb bass, custom made for me in Germany. But this is custom made in that on the back it's got the typical thumb wood and the thumb neck and the thumb fretboard, but on the front I've got flame maple because I like the tone of the flame maple. And some people say wood doesn't matter. That's okay, it looks pretty too, which I really like. Brass frets, it's got a brass nut as well. I always use stainless steel strings, which, not that I bow to any sponsor, but these ones here, which came from the factory like that, these are hard to get in New Zealand, so I usually just order them from Germany. They are wicked strings, the EMP coating on them as well. This is an active bass. I usually run it on active with the pickups in the middle. Bass and treble controls, which you run on full, so that the EQ's sweet as. And then of course, if you're in a dark room or you've got a smoke machine and you can't see anything, then that's always really handy as well. Also, it has quite a lot of wank factor, but it was mainly for that I got it, not the ability to see the dots. And that's all going through my pedalboard, which we're going to run through right now. Okay, so this is what I call the aircraft carrier. I've got a smaller version of this that I use sometimes, but obviously having a nice big pedalboard with lots of shiny lights is also great fun. So first things first, I go from my guitar into the Boss wireless unit, which is WL60, into here. This can choose lots of different channels so that you don't get messed up by other instruments or wireless stuff. And this will scan for a channel until it finds one that's not being used, and then you just push go and it's good to go. So channel 1, then I would change to channel 1 on the receiver as well on my guitar, and we're good to go. Out of there it comes into the first of probably quite a few Darkglass pedals, which is the Harmonic booster here. That's a great preamp if you want to get that sort of modern tone. Even if you haven't got a Warwick or I guess a Spectre or a Dingwall, it'll get that sort of same sort of characteristic coming through. You can adjust the EQ as much as you like, but because I do love the sound of the Warwick as it is, that's why I run the EQs on my bass and my amps flat. This character button here is the really important one. That'll get you all that tone that we were talking about I was talking about to you a minute ago. From there I go into this Chancellor wah, which is obviously the bass player from Tool. I am nowhere near as good as that guy, but this has some really cool stuff on it. You can choose one of two different kinds of wah and the sweep on them. You can choose to have the distortion on or off. So right now it'll just be a normal wah if you're playing. There, as soon as you hit the wah, the distortion comes on, and it can give you anything from a wah distortion sound to a sort of a synth sound. And then if you want, you can run it using this mode, which means you can just use it as the fuzz if you like the fuzz that's in there. And these are all the different pots to choose how you like the distortion of the fuzz as well. And you've got a sensitivity button and a delay button because it'll get back to there and give you a longer or shorter delay on when the wah cuts in and out, depending on what you want to do. From there, I come into this one here. This is my new main pedal, which has a little bit superseded a few of the other pedals that I had. I used to have a phaser on this board as well, but I got rid of that because the one that they brought out in the anagram is amazing. This is a wicked pedal. If you're a bass player out there, you probably heard of the anagram. People are changing from all sorts of different machines like to the Anagram instead. It'll show you all sorts of different pedals which you can turn on and off and adjust however you like, and then you've got all sorts of different versions that'll turn the pedals on and off inside the pedal while you're playing. And as you can see there, it's got my initials and that's the name of the song. You can adjust them on the fly if you want to, but it'll lock so you can't adjust the sounds when you're playing. And it goes through also different valve amps or tubes amps, whichever you like, distortions, phases, flanges, compressors, you name it. It's a wicked pedal. From there, we're heading into this other fantastic pedal by Darkglass. This has got 2 and a bit distortions built in, and when I say 2 and a bit, I mean you can have either fully alpha mode, fully omega mode, or you can adjust it with a blend of the two towards what you like. It also has an EQ built in, so at the moment it's in the blue mode, which turns EQ on or off, or you can run it in the red mode. So one is vintage and one is modern, which gives you that as well. If you want to, hold it down, which I only just discovered this a wee while ago, which gives you the option of running the EQ on its own, or the distortion off, EQ on its own, or as much of the old school or the new school that you want, and just push the button and it's on. I normally run it in red mode or blue mode. From there I go into an MXR chorus. It's a main chorus. I got turned onto this one by a very famous bass player called Guy Pratt, but that one here and the sub and up, which I'll get to later, I use because Guy Pratt uses them and he's one of my favourite bass players as well. From there, I go all the way down to this drop. No, I don't. Yes, no, I come to the MXR. This is a new pedal in New Zealand. It's been the rest of the world for about 6 months. This is so good that I've only run through the 8 presets and haven't adjusted anything, as you can see, on the actual dials themselves. I just run any of the 8 presets which are built in, so 4 red and 4 green, based on famous tones like Sledgehammer, Thriller by Michael Jackson. They're fantastic tones in there, and I thoroughly recommend that pedal to anybody who wants to get a synth tone and doesn't want to have to try and figure out how to use a computer or needs a degree in physics to get one. I come down to the sub and up, which is this one here, which I use for all my up octave tones, and in this particular case I use it when we're playing a cover to kind of fudge some synth and guitar sounds up in a higher octave. You can chuck this to 2 octaves down and it'll absolutely destroy the subs if you really feel mean to your sound guy. This is the Digitech Drop pedal. This is the Stealth Black version which got released last year. You can go down in semitones or you can go an octave and the original tone. And just by obviously engaging that, you'll go to whatever note you choose. This here is a Spark by TC Electronics, there you go. And all I use that for is a volume boost near the end of the signal chain. On and off, if I don't think a riff in particular is loud enough dialed in by one of the pedals or by the anagram, then I just bang that on for a boost. I'm going to head back over this way. This is actually not connected here only because I only use that when I use my Darkglass microtubes because it is the controller for that amplifier. As you can see there, I've got a clean, 1 distortion, 2 distortion, and that one there, but I haven't got my glasses on so I can't tell. But you can run any of those for, and it controls the amp by a foot switch, which is kind of cool if you don't want to be like turning around, or if you like to use those distortions in the amp. At the moment, this is because I've been playing the Mark bass and I haven't got that connected, so normally I just take this off if I'm going somewhere. Last but not least is this amazing pedal here, which I love. This is a Mark bass tube preamp. This will make my Darkglass sound like a tube amplifier, even more than the anagram will. I can have just a nice warm tube sound. When I chuck that on, it's even more saturated, which is awesome. It's got 2 distortions or / overdrives built in, but I don't use any of them, as you can probably tell by these here. So the only button I ever push here is that one. And normally when I'm playing my Darkglass, I leave that as always on. You can go from here via mic cable directly to a DI or directly to the desk. You can run out the anagram in stereo to a desk if you want to. But normally I go from here to the amp, and both of the amplifiers have DI straight out directly to the desk. There's a whole bunch of different stuff on YouTube, especially done by Ian Martin Allison and Nate Navarro on a whole bunch of these different pedals. So I hope that was a little bit enjoyable. I know I rambled quite a bit. If you've got any questions, let me know, and I'll tag on to the next person in our band to do their rig rundown. Cheers, see you.